Testing mic. We are in action. What is up, you guys? Welcome to a brand new episode of the Fit Women's Weekly Podcast. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome to the show. Hopefully you hear something over the next few minutes or the time that you're with me that makes you go, this is a pretty interesting podcast. I need to go check out previous episodes, and I need to stay around for future episodes because I put brand new episodes out every single week. I put out one every week on my YouTube channel, and I put out two every Wednesday and every Friday on all podcast platforms. So don't miss out, you guys. There are over 500 episodes to date, which just blows my mind. And if you are already a longtime listener of the show, thank you. I love you guys. I love our community, and I want to continue to grow it. And I also want to make sure that this is always our show. Yes, I'm coming in here and sharing fitness and nutrition and life lessons and mindset. But at the end of the day, I want to make sure that I'm helping you with your life and your fitness and your nutrition. So if there's ever a particular topic that you want me to cover, if you have a question, even if it's very personal, we will leave it to be anonymous and reach out to me. Ask it, we'll chit chat about it, keep the conversations going. Or if there's ever an episode that makes you like, that was really interesting, or Kendall, maybe look at it from this point. Reach out, talk to me, comment in the comments if you're watching this on YouTube, or the best way to reach me is over on Instagram. Slide into my DMs, Kendall Boyle Fitness. All right, guys, in today's episode, we are gonna be talking about hydration. It is summertime. We are all sweating a little bit more, and next week is actually National Hydration Day. Yeah, there's a national day for everything. One of the things that I've been doing lately is when I'm starting to plan out my short form content as far as like reels and shorts are concerned, I will go to the week and see what national holidays are going on to see if it sparks any creative interest. In fact, next week is National Vanilla Milkshake Day, which I'm gonna be actually recording today, a healthy protein milkshake, and it is National Hydration Day, which I think is actually really, really important. And I'm assuming it's next week because next week I believe is also summer solstice. So enjoy, it's gonna be the longest day of the year as far as the sunshine is concerned. And that is my favorite time of the year. But it also makes me a little bit sad because then I'm like, but that means now we're gonna start getting a little bit darker and darker a little bit each day. And I love these lighter mornings. It just fuels my soul because you can get out a little bit earlier. It is not super, super hot outside, but you still get a little bit of sun on your skin. You can feel that ground below you. In fact, I was out walking this morning at 6 a.m. and it's just the best. I am still not running. Dan asked me the other day, my husband, he asked, do you still feel like your knee is healing? Do you feel like it's kind of stalled a little bit in its progress? And I told him I feel like it's stalled a little bit. I'm still doing, I can tell it is getting better. I did burpees for the first time last week without any major pain, but I'm also so excited to get running that until I can actually jog comfortably or start doing those kind of activities again, I feel like I'm just at a standstill, if that makes sense. I am looking at my performance and my improvements based on, can I do the things that I love to do? And I'm not there yet. So I'm hoping, my goal is by mid-July, I'm thinking is a pretty reasonable guess, that I'll be able to start running again. If anybody has ever dealt with a meniscus tear before, let me know kind of how long it took you to progress back into doing those kind of activities of running, and also just building confidence back up in your normal movements. I'm definitely doing a lot of things. It does not hurt for me to squat. I'm still not going crazy heavy, but I'm still just not very confident in certain actions of rotating too fast or step ups or things like that, or one-legged movements, but it's definitely getting better. So we are on the road to recovery, you guys, and that feels pretty good. The other thing that we need to chat about real quick before we get into the meat of this episode is the summer shred. Now, I know that you're like, Kendall, we get it. You have an 8-week program coming out. Yes, I do. And this podcast is absolutely free. So I get the right to talk about this each podcast for 1 to 2 minutes. My summer shred is my biggest challenge of the year. It is my favorite challenge of the year because unlike January, where I also do a big challenge, that's kind of expected, right? We're all motivated to do something in January. Whereas in the middle of the year, during the summer, this is a choice and this is 100% for you. Nobody's pushing you. It's not because society says this is the time to get fit. And to me, that just makes it that much more special. And this challenge in particular, I'm putting so much into it to make sure that you have all the tools that you need to get results. I want you to hit the goals. Maybe you set them back in January and then you kind of stalled on your progress. Maybe you tried a couple of programs, but you are bored and you're not getting the results. You're not being pushed the way that you need to do. You are not being coached appropriately with your training. The Summer Shred has all of that stuff because Fit Women's Weekly Live is a small fitness studio. Yes, it is online, but I go live multiple times per day. You do not have to hop on live with me. You do not have to work out every single day. It's just like a studio down the road where you pick the classes that you want to attend to, except you don't have to drive and you don't have to worry about trying to reserve your spot and you don't have to worry about being there at a particular time. If you can make it live, awesome. If you can't, that's okay. You can still get that same experience as if you were live by clicking play on that workout for the day, getting it done, asking questions, and I will respond. I respond to every single comment. If you ever have questions about your form, I will give you feedback. If you have questions about an exercise, I will give you feedback. If you have questions about going to the grocery store, I will give you feedback. And you're also gonna get tracking sheets. You're gonna get the tracking program. We're gonna have weekly coaching calls to talk about macros, nutrition, mindset, all the things, so that this is a challenge and a program that you don't just start and give up on 1 week through because you've got other things going on. I really give you everything that I can to help hold you accountable from the start of the challenge all the way through to the end of the challenge. And you are not held to continue on with Fit Women's Weekly afterwards. There's no contracts, no commitments. So spots are starting to fill up. We only have 50 spots going on. We were gonna do 120, now we are only doing 50 because I, again, want to make sure that this is as personal of an experience as I can give to you. And if that means cutting back on how much money I make at a certain time, I'd rather do that to make sure that you are getting everything that you need out of it. So I'll make sure to put the link down below. Again, spots are filling up and it is a one-time, like, first come, first serve. And once you sign up, you also get free access to Fit Women's Weekly Live starting now. So even though your membership won't start until July 10th, which is when the challenge starts, if you sign up today, you can go ahead and get access today. So that's over $50 of savings right there. So what you waiting for? Go join me, Summer Shred. Let's work out together. Let's get strong, get fit, get faster. And yeah, it's gonna be a freaking blast, you guys. All right, enough said. Let's talk about hydration. June 23rd is National Hydration Day. And I was playing a game this past weekend with my sister-in-law. It's a trivia game, and one of the questions was, how much of your body is made of water? And growing up, we always heard that it's about 75%, and it is still a lot, but it's not quite 70%. Your body is actually made of about 60% of water, and that's spread throughout all of your tissues and in your blood and in your brain. So it's still a lot of makeup for your body. Good old H2O, also known as oxide. So how much do you actually need to stay fully hydrated? Well, before I answer that, let's talk about how can you tell if you're actually dehydrated or not. Are you getting the amount of water that you are just based on your normal day-to-day activities that you're doing right now? Because you guys, if you're even the slightest bit dehydrated, I'm talking about 2% dehydrated, you will not necessarily feel a difference, but your body will be impacted. Your physical fitness will be impacted, your endurance, your strength, and your cognitive performance will also decline. And we're not saying a 2% dehydration. The tests that have been done in the past really just refer to a 2% decrease in the amount of water that you should be drinking or the amount of water that you normally do drink. So 2% decrease in the water that you drink from one day to the next can have a huge impact on your brain and your body. So let's make sure that you are staying hydrated. And you can tell if you're hydrated or not by a couple of tests. The first one, obviously, we've all heard about is your pee test. What color is your pee? Your pee should be a light lemonade color or clear, on the clear side. Some people have said if your pee is clear, that means that you're overhydrated. That's not necessarily true. If your urine is darker than a lemonade color, then chances are you're dehydrated and you need to go grab a glass of water. Pause right now or carry me with you, go get some water and drink it back. Now, obviously some supplements, if you are or even foods that you eat, can impact the color of your urine, but it's pretty obvious to tell when it is impacted by medication, such as if you are on antibiotics can sometimes change the color, or yeast infection or bladder infection medication, especially bladder medicine, bladder infection can change the color of your urine. And even things like beets. If you eat golden beets, it's gonna probably be more golden. If you eat red beets, your urine will probably be a little bit more red, but also so will your poop. Lesson. Should I share the scary story? I don't know if I've ever shared this before online. I love beets, and growing up I would even eat them, but I never paid attention to, when I was a kid, what that looked like, right? And then when Dan and I first moved in together, I had beets. I love beet juice, I love roasted beets, and as an adult, it was one of the first times I can really remember having them. And so the next day, and Dan and I had just moved in together, we were young, I was 22 years old, and that was just part of our life that we did not share with each other, going to the bathroom. And actually, even to this day, we're not one of those couples, we don't go to the bathroom in front of each other, we'll just say, hey, did you have a good morning? And that's our AKA way of saying, did you go poop? Does everything look normal? But back then, we definitely did not have those conversations. And I went into work the next day, went to the bathroom, and I thought that I was dying, you guys. It was red, the toilet water was red. I thought I was bleeding out. I went and talked to one of my coworkers at the time that I felt really comfortable with. At the time, I was a medical assistant at a breast center. And I was trying to figure out, as a 22-year-old who had just moved in with her boyfriend, how am I going to explain this to him? What am I dying of? And I was talking to my coworker and explaining it, and all of a sudden she goes, did you have beets last night? And I went, yeah, I did. How did you know that? And she's like, that's a side effect of beets. So now I laugh about it. So yeah, if you ever think that you're dying, just ask yourself, did you have beets last night? If the answer is yes, you're fine. If the answer is no, you might want to go get that checked out. But anyways, check the color of your urine. Next up, you can also do the skin test on the back of your hand. Now, obviously, this will dictate, or also depends on how old you are, the elasticity of your skin, but it's a pretty good test if you do it on the regular, because you'll know what is normal for you. But if you just pinch behind your hand on the back of your palm, pinch up and then let it go, if it goes back into place pretty fast within 1 to 3 seconds, you're pretty hydrated, right? Your skin just bounces right back. But if you pinch it and it kind of lingers in a pinched up position for a while and takes a while for it to spread back out, then you've lost a little bit of elasticity and chances are you are a little bit dehydrated. But when I do that, pretty proud, it goes straight back down. And then the other test, a little self-test, is to press on your nails. So if you press on just the back of your nail, you'll notice obviously when you put pressure on it, it changes color a little bit. But when you let go, that color should go right back to your normal nail bed color. If, again, it takes longer than about 1 to 3 seconds, you're probably a little bit dehydrated. And obviously, again, there's other factors. Your nails are actually one of the places that you can notice health issues. So if you have any discoloration that's not normal, go get that checked out. But from a hydration sense, when you push it down, it probably gets a little bit white. If you let it go, it takes a second, but it should go right back to your normal pink and healthy color. Mine, luckily, does. I was kind of nervous because I haven't had a lot of water yet to drink this morning, and I went on a pretty long walk, but I look pretty hydrated, you guys. So are you hydrated? I want to know. All right, so now that we know how to tell if you're hydrated and we know how important it is to be hydrated, how much water do you actually need? You've probably heard before that you need to drink as many ounces as what your weight is. So if you weigh 150 pounds, you should drink 150 ounces of water. That is actually not true. In fact, most of the research shows that there's not an amount of water based on your weight. There's actually just a pretty normal amount that all of us should drink regardless of height and size. And that is that most of us should be drinking around 8 ounces of water from the time that we wake up for each hour for the first 10 hours that we're awake. And then as we get closer to bedtime at night, we don't need quite as much. Our requirements do change a little bit. So on average, we need 8 fluid ounces of water per hour for the first 10 hours that we're awake. So if you do the math on that, that is obviously 80 ounces of water through the day. Now that is just based on when you're at rest. I'm not talking about like if you're exercising or if you're sweating. This is just what normal people need on a day-to-day basis, even if you're just sitting at your desk. 80 ounces of water, which comes out to 2.4 liters if you're a liter person. And if you are a milliliter person, I can't help you with that because my phone is recording this, so I can't Google it. But obviously you can just say what is 8 ounces changed over into milliliters, or what's 80 ounces into milliliters, and it'll give you the answer to that. Now, this is also fluid. This is the total amount of fluid, which doesn't mean just water. You're also gonna get fluid from vegetables that you eat. You're gonna get fluid from any other sources of drinks that you have, whether that's coffee, which we'll talk about here in just a second, but any kind of fluid that you put into your body can go through this. It's just easier to track your hydration and your water intake by actually tracking your water intake, right? It's really hard to say like, well, I had an apple today and I had a piece of watermelon and then I had 40 ounces of water. Is that the same? It's just too hard. So for me, I always try to get my clients to actually drink 80 ounces of water, actually even more. And here's where we're gonna talk about that. So if you're exercising, how much more water should you be drinking? So we have our baseline, 80 ounces of water broken up throughout the day. Don't try to drink 40 ounces first thing in the morning and then 40 ounces when you go to bed. Your body can't really like process that as much, whereas if you just drink it a little bit throughout the day, you're able to hydrate yourself a lot better and it's not just gonna pee out of your system, right? But if you're exercising, how much water should you drink on top of your 80? Well, Andy Galpin, who's actually a really amazing doctor that I'm trying to get on the podcast, so if anybody has contacts to Dr. Galpin, let me know. He created something called the Galpin equation, which is basically you are going to take your body weight, divide that by 30, and that is how many ounces that you need to drink every 15 to 20 minutes of exercising. So if you have an hour-long workout, for me, that would come to 13 to 17 ounces of water extra for that hour. So we'll just say 15. So at the end of the day, if I'm drinking the 80 as my baseline and then I'm doing an hour workout, I need to drink about 95 ounces of water per day to make sure that I am staying hydrated, which I just round up to 100. And generally, obviously, you guys know with Fit Women's Weekly Live, I do multiple workouts per day. And so I end up drinking a little bit more than that. So I would need 17. So I end up doing about 90 minutes of structured exercise most days of the week, plus I just did an hour-long walk. So I would need a little bit over 100 ounces per day. And for those of you guys that are watching on YouTube, this is my water bottle that I use, and it is, when it is filled up all the way to the top, actually 60 ounces. So it's half a gallon, and I drink 1.5 to 2 of these every single day. But I also will pour a big glass of this into a cup, and I drink electrolytes every single day. I drink 1 to 2 electrolytes depending on how much I sweat, how hot it is outside. And that is super important because electrolytes is what pulls water into our cells. So let's talk about electrolytes a little bit more. I'm talking about sodium, magnesium, and potassium. If you are decreased in these, if you have low electrolytes, then you could have symptoms of increased cramping, increased thirst, decreased endurance, increased salt cravings, irritability, swelling, muscle cramps. It is not a good thing at all. So what are electrolytes? Electrolytes pulls water into the cells instead of peeing it all out, and it maintains electrical neutrality in your nerves and your cells. So electrolytes are very, very, very important. And if you have an imbalance, you're drinking too much water and you don't have electrolytes, it can cause an imbalance in your cells. It could even change up the blood pH, which your blood pH is very happy at 1 part. So if you mess with your pH, it could lead to some really scary symptoms. So you wanna make sure that if you are sweating a lot, if you are drinking a lot of water, that you wanna make sure that you are balancing out your electrolytes at the same time. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with drinking electrolytes every single day. Some of my favorite ones are Liquid IV. I also love Noon tablets. And I will actually I'll list out some of my favorite ones, but Liquid IV and Noon are 2 of the ones that I use absolutely the most. And they're kind of lower in the sugar intake. They really are just loaded with good sodium, potassium, and magnesium. And during hot times, during the summer especially, or if you live in a super humid climate like I do, you sweat a lot. So it might be more beneficial to drink 2 electrolytes per day than having just one. But yeah, do not skip on the electrolytes. You might even want to double the equation of Andy Galpin's requirements. So instead of drinking 17 extra ounces, you might want to drink 34 extra ounces if you are a heavy sweater. And you can know, like, you know, when I sweat, which I am a heavy sweater, and as you get more fit, being able to sweat is part of adapting to physical fitness. So as you get more fit, you will sweat more. And parts of that means like you'll just taste it, you know, you'll taste the salt on your skin. When I go for a run, sometimes I'll have dry salt around my mouth even. It doesn't look cute by any means, but it's just a sign that I've lost electrolytes and I definitely need to replenish that. I've gone for runs before where I hydrated too much and did not balance out my electrolytes, and that led to some heavy swelling. I was actually doing a 50K a few years ago and had to pull out for that reason. I looked down and my hands looked like freaking sausages, you guys, like crazy sausages. My fingers were doubled in size for each of them. And I saw Dan on the course because it was like, had some weird out and back, so it was a really hard race. And when he saw me, I just held up my hands. I'm like, what is wrong with me? And by the time I got to the aid station, salt, because like I said, salt cravings is one of the symptoms of being low in electrolytes. I put a Noon tablet straight into my mouth without even thinking about it. My brain wasn't even computing like, oh, I'm low in electrolytes. Because at the time I just thought I was dehydrated. Instead, my body, like, you know, my body was pretty smart and it just grabbed it without thinking and put the actual Noon tablet in my mouth. And then I drank a Gatorade right after because I was like, give me all the electrolytes, and the swelling went down pretty fast. But that's another sign. So yeah, listen to your body. It'll tell you, I feel like I need something salty right now. And that would be a sign that you are low in your electrolytes, not necessarily dehydrated. So it's really funny how your body will tell you what you need sometimes without even realizing it. So yeah, there you go, you guys. That's how much water you need. You need at the base 80 ounces of water per day. And then depending on your workout routine, you're gonna take your body weight, divide it by 30, your body weight in pounds, divide it by 30, and then that's how much extra water you need per 15 to 20 minutes of exercise. So if you're working out for an hour, multiply that by 3 or 4 and you will figure out how much extra you need to do. And of course, like I said, if you're in a really hot area like I am, where you sweat a lot more and you lose just a lot of sweat throughout the day even, then you might want to double that. So you would take that and just double it up. So for me, it would be 34 ounces instead of 17 ounces for an hour-long workout. And it would be easy. Like, you're gonna want to chug that water down. Your body knows when you're dehydrated. So yeah, so let me know, are you a heavy sweater? And do you, like, there are just some people who just don't drink water because their body is just so used to being in a dehydrated state. But here's what I can tell you. If that is you, once you force yourself throughout the day to drink more water, you become used to that. I used to be one of those people who probably didn't even drink 24 ounces of water per day. And then when I gave myself the challenge of drinking a gallon per day, it's now become super easy where I will have this entire thing down by 11 a.m. starting on my second one, because I do try to be finished with my water by around 7 so that I'm not up throughout the night peeing 3 different times. I normally do get up once, but I'm okay with that. And if you're like, I just don't like the flavor of water, one, you do get used to it. It's kind of like if you give up Coke for a while and by Coke I mean soda. I live in the South, so it doesn't matter if it's Sprite, Dr. Pepper, whatever, they're all Coke to me. But if you give it up for, let's say, 6 months and you go to drink it again, you go, oh my God, this is so nasty, right? Well, water is the same way. So if you're not used to drinking it, it just doesn't really taste very palatable. But if you start forcing yourself to drink it, all of a sudden you're gonna start liking it. Same with coffee. Who liked coffee at their first sip? And now you wake up and you're like, give me the coffee, right? Now, as far as diuretics are concerned, like coffee, here's what the research shows. So coffee is a diuretic, meaning that when you drink it, it actually causes you to pee more frequently. So it's really smart idea that if you drink 8 ounces of water, 8 ounces of coffee a day, if you can replenish that by drinking an extra 8 ounces of water, awesome. However, the more your body is used to taking in something like caffeine or coffee, you get used to it and it's not as much of a diuretic anymore. It just doesn't have that impact on you, kind of like you probably don't get the same caffeine buzz that you did 10 years ago from drinking the same amount of coffee. So it's really not as important, but if you're thinking about it and you can cover up for it, it definitely doesn't hurt you to re-drink that amount. So instead of 80 ounces, maybe drink 88 ounces if you are a heavy coffee person. But again, if you're used to drinking water, it really doesn't affect your hydration all that much anymore. But it is another reason to also increase your electrolytes, because when you're having a diuretic, it does, you will let go of some of your electrolytes at the same time. So yeah. And then if you're like, but okay, cool, I want to drink more water, but that's so boring all the time. That's why I like to drink electrolytes, because it just gives that ability to like make like I call it my evening cocktail. I do a scoop of my magnesium powder and I do a scoop of my electrolytes, and that to me, it's so good. I put tons of ice in it, and it's just like a refreshing drink at the end of the day, because obviously when I'm carrying this around, it's just room temperature, right? It's nothing super exciting. But when I have my nighttime cocktail, it's like, this is so nice. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. Or go and get something like, little drink tablets. There's so many now on the market that are naturally sweetened. They're fruit flavored. You can put fruit into your water. There's so many different tricks so that you're not drinking boring water all the time. Because yeah, I get it. We want to have options, right? So Crystal Light, while I don't necessarily condone it in every single drink that you have, it's also a fine way just to start increasing your water intake and slowly start to use less. Like use 1 packet in your water and then maybe start doing half a packet in your water, just to give you a little bit of like, that's something special. And then yeah, I'm all for sparkling water. Some people are like, no, that doesn't count. Yeah, drink your LaCroix and enjoy it. It makes water more exciting. I love bubblies, my sparkling bubbly water. There's nothing wrong with that. So hydrate how you need to, but get those ounces in, you guys, especially right now, hottest time of the year coming up. Make sure that you're on it now. And as part of my challenge during the summer shred, hydration is one of the key components to making sure that you're up and up with your nutrition and with your body and fueling it. All right, guys, go sign up for the summer shred. All the details down below. Get free access to Fit Women's Weekly Live so you can test it out before you decide to sign up. And then of course, make sure to like this video if you're watching it on video, like the podcast, subscribe, leave a review, and I will be back on the podcast in 2 days on Friday. New podcast comes out every Friday. All right, you guys, have a great day. Bye.